During my first ayahuasca retreat, an unexpected thought struck me, and it had nothing to do with the medicine. Sitting on our lightly cushioned cots around the ceremonial space, called a maloca, in a circle, I felt a slight sense of being out of place, and yet at the same time yearning to be there more. I was somewhere in Mexico in a straw-covered structure with 20 other people. Along one of the walls sat our shaman, surrounded by all kinds of objects, crystals, candles, and decorations I'd never seen before. He had flown in from Peru and spoke decent English, with genuine care in his eyes, knowing that we were at the edge of an initiation. I felt nervous, yet held by the shaman's presence and the calm, grounded energy. Reverence was as natural as air. In retrospect, I realized that my feeling vulnerable was not just because I was about to have my first experience with an immensely powerful plant medicine. Equally so, it was the completely new context of it all. My ego had very few familiar structures to hold on to other than the fact that other people were trusting the process too. My surprising thought? The shaman doesn't even have a Google listing. I know, what a strange thing for my brain to spit out into my consciousness. The sponsoring thought was that he doesn't need one, that people find him anyway. He does deep work with thousands of people without ads or fancy outreach. Not just his work, his energy speaks for itself. He does sacred work and people find him, even us Westerners. All the ads that tell us that healing practitioners such as myself should be hustling, competing with thousands of others, and constantly feeling behind are simply false. And if you ever saw them, you might have noticed that they all talk about ad strategy, yet how come none of them ever mention doing good work with clients? They're built on a foundation based in fear and lack, as I'll describe shortly. It has been over a year and a half since that first retreat, and its integration never ceased. It has since dawned on me that the stark contrast between the ceremonial way of life and the day-to-day Western life is as much a part of the integration process as the medicine itself. There are teachings embedded directly into the experience of this space. The hidden lesson of contrast. This is about more than the difference in culture. The cultures of South America and many other regions that connect with sacred plants and bring people through ceremonial work have very deep lessons for us Westerners beyond those that come from the medicines they serve. We have heard 1,000 times that Westerners have lost touch with the earth, our ancestors, and even with the mindful stance around eating our meals and connecting with others. Somehow we seem trapped in this, despite our best efforts to recognize it as problematic. Being immersed in a different pace, for even a weekend, let alone a week-long retreat, puts one not only face-to-face with this loss, but also a living, breathing path towards reconnection. One might initially experience it as frustrating or uncomfortable, but after some time in this kind of sacred space, we start to feel more of ourselves. Muscles we didn't even know we were tensing start to unclench. Most Westerners experiencing such a retreat even comment honestly and with some regret about how they're no longer used to paying attention to their meals and other similar observations. They express relief at not being on their phones throughout the day and say how much they wish they could bring this different approach back home with them. I am someone who has been called not only to sit with medicine, but to embody being a medicine woman, a lifelong path. And in my own deep integration journey, I've realized that what I'm describing is an important part of the integration process that follows every plant medicine journey. This is not just about the details of the ceremony and the profound and complex lessons of the medicine, which must, of course, be received with the deepest reverence and care. We must take in that there is an entirely different way of living life, and our souls are desperately hungry for it. These lessons are simple, yet not easy for many of us to take time to integrate. They're about connecting to ourselves, our food, our families, the land, our ancestors, our dreams, our passions, and our joys. They're about the need to really slow down, to be in nature, and to infuse our entire day with gratitude, not just as separate practices, but directly in the midst of everything we do. Every retreat and medicine journey seems to remind us of these truths. So why is it that we seem to be faced with these lessons over and over, and yet they don't stick? Our Western culture, imbued with the implicit belief that capitalism is right, is a fundamental part of the issue. Sure, we know how good it feels to go out in nature and look at a river, but we don't have time. Time is no longer ours. It's been hijacked by the pressure to make money, to keep the ball rolling. God forbid you should take a week off of work to rest. You only have so much PTO. Get that Google listing or risk being invisible. And we have had no choice but to swallow that mindset wholesale. It started so early. Whether we're conscious of this or not, everything centers around this capitalistic pressure. No matter how much we talk about other values, and no matter how much money we actually already have, we're on the proverbial hamster wheel. We are made to believe from very early on that there is not ever enough to go around, so our nervous systems get structured around scarcity and making money being a priority. We don't even realize that money starts to own us and not the other way around. And we assume this is just how things are. And so, arriving at a retreat that's organized around a completely different set of priorities is what makes for the contrast that just might peel back those scarcity beliefs. It puts you face to face with people who live by a very different set of principles. And not only live, but thrive. At the very foundation of these principles are two interrelated tenets that Westerners have yet to fully integrate. Number one, scarcity is simply not real. And number two, Spirit, Source, or God is guiding us in every moment of every day. This is core. This is the real reason we journey. I never forgot the love in that shaman's eyes. He doesn't even have a Google listing, said my mind, as the fear-based reflection of the admiration as well as the longing I was feeling. Maybe that's a better way to live after all.